The crystal glasses clinked as my family gathered around the massive dining table at my parents' mansion for our traditional New Year's Eve dinner. The same table where they'd spent years mocking my modest lifestyle and small career choices. To another successful year, my father proclaimed, raising his glass of Dom Perignon. Though some of us clearly need to work on their definition of success. His eyes landed pointedly on me. I smiled quietly, sipping my champagne. If only they knew that the vineyard that produced it was now part of my portfolio, acquired through one of my countless shell companies. Speaking of success, my sister Rachel chimed in, adjusting her designer watch, a knockoff of a brand I secretly owned. How's that little banking job of yours going, Emma? Still pushing papers? Something like that, I replied. My little banking job was actually a cover for my role as the hidden CEO of Anderson Global, one of the world's largest private investment firms. While they thought I was a mid-level manager, I was orchestrating billion-dollar deals from the shadows. You know, my brother Michael added, checking his fake Rolex, my hedge fund is always looking for back-office staff. At least it would be a step up from whatever you're doing now. I suppressed a laugh. His prestigious hedge fund was actually owned by one of my holding companies. I'd acquired it last month when they were facing bankruptcy, though the announcement wouldn't go public until tomorrow. Still living paycheck to paycheck? Dad asked with that familiar condescending smile. When are you going to grow up and get a real career like your siblings? My phone buzzed, my real phone, not the basic model they saw me use. I glanced at the screen. Asian markets opening in 15 minutes. Dubai Sovereign Wealth Fund transfer complete. Swiss accounts consolidated. Board members awaiting final approval. Emma can't afford a real career, Rachel smirked, showing off her engagement ring, a cubic zirconia she claimed was from Tiffany's. She's too busy living in that tiny apartment. My tiny apartment was actually just the private entrance to my penthouse that occupied the top 3 floors of the city's most expensive building, a building I owned. Not everyone can be as successful as us, Michael boasted, launching into another story about his supposed trading prowess. I tuned him out, checking more messages from my executive team. London office acquisition finalized. Tokyo merger completed. New York Stock Exchange special opening tomorrow confirmed. My mother sighed dramatically. I just wish you had more ambition, dear. Look at Rachel, about to marry a successful businessman. And Michael with his important finance career. Rachel's successful fiancé was actually under SEC investigation, an investigation my firms were quietly funding. And Michael's important career was about to implode when my ownership of his fund was revealed. At least she has that stable bank job, Dad conceded with fake generosity. Though God knows how she affords rent in this city on that salary. My salary was a fiction, a cover story for the billions I controlled through a complex web of international holdings. The stable bank job was just a front for my real empire. Then my phone rang, my private line, the one only a select few had access to. The caller ID showed Swiss Private Banking. Excuse me, I said, starting to rise. I should take this. Really, Emma? Rachel rolled her eyes. What could be so important that you need to interrupt family dinner? I decided to take the call at the table. After all, the announcements were scheduled to begin in a few minutes anyway. Ms. Anderson, the Swiss banker's voice rang out clearly in the sudden silence. I apologize for disturbing your evening, but we needed immediate authorization. Your offshore accounts now total $20 billion after the latest acquisitions. Should we proceed with the consolidated transfer to the Cayman Islands holding company? The sound of shattering crystal pierced the air. Rachel had dropped her champagne glass, staring at me with wide eyes. And, the banker continued, the royal family of Dubai is requesting a meeting about increasing their investment in Anderson Global to $50 billion. Shall I have your private jet prepared? My father's face had gone from smug to shocked. Private jet? Yes, I said into the phone, watching their expressions. Proceed with the transfer. And tell Dubai I'll meet them next week. My New Year's announcement takes priority. Of course, Ms. Anderson. And congratulations on the Morgan Stanley acquisition. The Wall Street Journal is running the story at midnight. I ended the call to find 5 pairs of eyes fixed on me in stunned silence. Did he say? Michael's voice cracked. Did he say 20 billion? Actually, I said, pulling out my real phone, the encrypted one that controlled my empire. It's closer to 30 billion now. The public numbers are always a bit behind. The TV in the dining room suddenly flashed with breaking news. Mystery billionaire to be revealed. Anderson Global CEO steps into spotlight. Wall Street braces for historic announcement. Global markets await Anderson Empire revelation. But you're just a bank manager, Rachel whispered, her fake designer handbag clutched tightly. I smiled, checking my watch, a subtle Patek Philippe worth more than their house. About that. The expensive wine sat untouched as my family stared at me, their faces cycling through shock, disbelief, and dawning horror. The TV continued to flash headlines about Anderson Global's imminent revelations. This is impossible, Michael finally managed, his face ashen. You can't be. I would have known. Would you? I asked mildly, checking more incoming messages. The same way you knew your hedge fund was successful? Before I secretly bought it last month when it was facing bankruptcy? His face went pale. What do you mean you bought? Sterling Capital Management, I said, pulling up the documents on my tablet. Along with its parent company, 3 subsidiaries, and that impressive office building you love to brag about. Though technically you've been working for me for weeks now. Rachel was frantically Googling on her phone. Anderson Global. Emma Anderson, estimated net worth. Those estimates are low, I interrupted, taking a sip of water. They don't include the private holdings, the cryptocurrency portfolios, or the sovereign wealth fund investments. Speaking of which, I turned to my father. How's that development project of yours going? His hand froze halfway to his wine glass. How do you know about the one you're financing through Goldman Sachs? I smiled. I own controlling interest in the bank's private equity division. Every loan, every transaction, every deal, it all crosses my desk. My mother's perfectly manicured hand trembled as she reached for her pearls, bought from a jewelry chain I'd acquired last quarter. But your apartment, that tiny place in the city, is the private entrance to my penthouse, I corrected. The one that occupies the top 3 floors of the Anderson Tower. That modest space you mocked at Christmas? It's worth more than this entire neighborhood. Through the dining room windows I could see news vans beginning to arrive. Word was spreading fast. But you drive a Toyota. Rachel blurted out, her fake Cartier bracelet catching the light. That Toyota is a prototype, I said, watching more alerts flood my phone. One of only 2 in existence. Their CEO gave it to me after I became their largest private shareholder. Would you like to see my actual car collection? The garage takes up 3 underground levels of my building. My security chief appeared silently at my side. Ms. Anderson, I apologize for the interruption, but the Prime Minister of Singapore is on line 1. The sovereign wealth fund transfer needs your approval. Tell him I'll call back in 30 minutes, I replied, not taking my eyes off my family. We're having an enlightening family discussion. Michael was frantically trying to access his trading platform. By accounts, they're all locked. I smiled slightly. Yes, I ordered that an hour ago. The SEC is particularly interested in some of your recent trading patterns. Though they'll be even more interested in Dad's real estate dealings. My father's face went from red to white. What are you talking about? The inflated property valuations? The undisclosed foreign investors? The shell companies in the Caymans? I pulled up another document. Did you really think you could hide those transactions from someone who controls half the banking system in Asia? Rachel tried to recover her composure. This is absurd. You can't possibly own the fashion brands you pretend to wear? The stores where you buy your knockoffs? The magazines where you claim to be a style influencer? I raised an eyebrow. Actually, I do. Along with the private investigation firm that's been documenting your counterfeit goods operation. My phone buzzed with more breaking news alerts. Anderson Global CEO revealed. Banking empire's mystery owner. Billionaire Emma Anderson steps into spotlight. Wall Street stunned as Anderson Empire expands. My chief of operations approached discreetly. Ms. Anderson, the press has gathered outside. Your security team is in position. And the federal agents have arrived as requested. Federal agents? My mother whispered. Yes, I said, reaching into my briefcase. A one-of-a-kind Hermes that Victoria Beckham had personally designed for me. They're very interested in these files. I placed a thick folder on the table, watching as my family's faces shifted from confusion to terror as they recognized the SEC and FBI logos. Inside this folder, I continued, is evidence of every illegal transaction, every fraudulent deal, every financial crime this family has committed over the past 5 years. The only question is, I smiled coldly, what should I do with it? The distant sound of helicopter rotors cut through the tension, news choppers circling the mansion as word spread about the Anderson Global revelation. Camera flashes from the growing media crowd outside illuminated our faces through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Why? My mother finally asked, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. Why pretend all these years? Pretend. I picked up my wine glass, studying them. Like when you pretended I didn't exist at Rachel's engagement party? Or when Michael pretended I was too stupid to understand real finance? Or when Dad pretended I was embarrassing the family with my mediocre career choices? I pulled out 5 identical envelopes, each bearing my company's platinum seal, and placed them methodically on the table. These envelopes contain your futures, I said calmly. Your only remaining options, to be precise. Options. Michael's voice cracked. Option 1. Sign the enclosed agreements. They outline your full cooperation with federal authorities regarding your various financial indiscretions. Return all illegally obtained assets. Accept entry-level positions in one of my smaller subsidiaries, under strict supervision, naturally. Entry-level. Rachel screeched. I'm engaged to a billionaire. You're engaged to a fraud, I corrected. James's investment firm is a Ponzi scheme. Those celebrity clients, paid actors from my entertainment division. Those Forbes articles about his success, published in media outlets I control. Even his supposed family fortune is borrowed money from my banks. My father attempted to reassert control. Now listen here, Emma. No, you listen, I cut him off, pulling up more documents on my tablet. Let's discuss your real estate empire, Dad. The one you claimed was too sophisticated for my simple mind. Shall we examine the fake property valuations? The money laundering through shell companies? The bribes to foreign officials? My chief financial officer appeared silently. Ms. Anderson, the World Bank representatives have arrived in your private boardroom. And the SEC chairman is asking about tomorrow's announcements. Through the windows, I could see my security team's black SUVs forming a protective perimeter around the mansion. Federal vehicles were quietly taking position. You have until midnight to decide, I said, standing up. Choose carefully. Wait. Rachel called out desperately. Our homes, our reputations, were built on lies, I finished. Everything you own, everything you've bragged about, everything you've used to belittle others, it's all going to be seized. Unless what? My mother whispered, her hand trembling around her wine glass. Unless you sign these agreements, cooperate completely, return every cent of illegal gains, and start over, legitimately this time, under my supervision. My phone buzzed continuously with market alerts. Asian markets surge on Anderson News. European exchanges prepare for historic trading day. Wall Street braces for Anderson Empire revelation. Your choice is simple, I continued. Accept legitimate employment under my oversight or face federal prosecution. Either way, your houses of cards are falling. Michael stared at his locked trading screens. We'll lose everything. You never had anything real to lose, I corrected. It was all built on fraud. The mansions, the cars, the vacations, the social status, all purchased with stolen money and illegal schemes. My head of security appeared at my elbow. Ms. Anderson, the federal agents are ready. And the president is waiting to speak with you. I surveyed my family one final time. These people who had spent years mocking my simple life while building their empires of lies. Here's what happens next, I said, gathering my things. The federal agents will explain your options in detail. Your accounts are frozen. Your assets are seized. Your fraudulent businesses are shut down. The only question is whether you face the consequences alone or with my protection. Rachel was crying openly now. Where will we live? What will people think? Anderson Global maintains corporate housing for entry-level employees, I said coolly. Basic apartments, but clean and secure. The kind of places you ridiculed me for living in. As for public opinion, I smiled slightly. I imagine they'll be too focused on my emergence to notice your downfall. The mansion's TVs were now showing live footage outside, helicopters circling overhead, reporters speculating about the drama unfolding within. One final thing, I added, retrieving one last document from my briefcase. This needs your immediate attention. What is it? My father asked, his hands shaking. A comprehensive list of every innocent employee in your companies, from maintenance staff to middle management. Their jobs are protected. Their pensions secured. Their futures guaranteed. I adjusted my Chanel jacket. Because that's what real leaders do. They protect people even from their own family's greed. My private secretary appeared. Ms. Anderson, your helicopter is waiting. The G20 finance ministers are requesting an emergency conference call. As I walked toward the door, my security detail falling into formation around me, I heard my mother's broken whisper, "Emma, please." I paused, turning back to survey the ruins of our New Year's dinner. You know what's ironic? All those years you called me a failure, I was building something legitimate. Something real. While you were flaunting borrowed money and bragging about fake success, I was creating actual value. Real jobs. True innovation. The cameras flashed as I stepped outside. Reporters shouting questions, the world eager to meet the woman who had built an empire in silence. Behind me, through the mansion's windows, I could see my family staring at their envelopes, their perfect New Year's celebration shattered by the weight of their own choices. Tomorrow the world would wake up to a new financial order. Anderson Global would reshape industries, transform markets, redefine success. But tonight was about justice. Cold, calculated, perfectly served justice. And they still had to pay for dinner.